Hey guys, it's ATTILEE. I'm back again for another exciting new episode of Steven Universe. I don't have a lot of predictions for this one, to be quite honest. The episode synopsis is quite vague. I think last I checked it was something along the lines of seeing Steven's bathroom for the first time, which, if anything, is to me kind of a running joke because I remember Matt Burnett, one of the writers for the show, I think got accosted for quite some time about, like, where's Steven's bathroom? And just silly things like that. So the synopsis is vague, and there wasn't any promotional material, at least none that I saw, that was released for the show. What I do have, though, is the storyboarders for this episode. Hilary and Lauren released their own illustrations promoting the episode because they seem like they're very excited for this one. Hilary actually has a series going on, sort of alternate universe AU going on that she uses for promotional images that I like to call like the Steven Universe Anime High School, and it's usually Steven as a high school teacher in sort of an anime Japanese school sort of context, and all of the gems, for the most part, except for I think Connie is also a teacher, are his students, and sort of just setting them in sort of typical anime school settings, things like that, and it's kind of silly. So she released one for this week with that same sort of AU in mind, and it's featuring Steven, and he looks like he's talking to Rose and all this stuff, and there's Peridot in the background, and Jenny and Amethyst off to the side as well, and it's really funny because if you look back at some of her previous AU promos, they loosely relate to the episode, but there's quite a few sort of red herrings within them as well. If you're to look at this and act like it's like an indicator of what's going to happen in the episode. I mean, if you're just looking at it purely for entertainment value, like, it's totally fine. And then Lauren Zook, who also storyboarded on this, because usually storyboarders are in Paris for Steven Universe, also released a promotional image just recently, actually, and it looks like it's like a vending machine. And we've got almost like guys and gals, those little capsules that have Steven and the crew in them. And then one of the main sort of focal points is Peridot's boot that's in it. So that's sort of leaving me wondering, like, okay, so we've got Peridot in the AU promotional material that's been released by Hilary. We've got Peridot's boot released by Lauren. Like, there's got to be a connection there somewhere. How exactly that fits into Steven and his bathroom, I don't know. This episode is so wide open. Like, I could see this maybe pertaining to, at least just with the name alone, Steven and the Centipedal, which would just crush my heart. I am in love with the Centipedal. I could also see this just related to Malachite, and maybe Yellowtail. He's a fisherman. Malachite is in the water. Catch and Release is sort of a fisherman sort of sounding title. It's so wide open right now, and that's honestly leaving me a little on edge, particularly because other Crewniverse members have circulated the promotional material that Hilary and Lauren have created and have sort of tagged on little lines like, this episode's really exciting, and Hilary and Lauren have also been, for weeks now, saying this is one of their favorite episodes that they got to board on, so the hype is real. So I'm quite excited about this. I know for me, while I do like making predictions, I sort of like going in blind, like I used to say for my blind react videos, because it sort of leads to, honestly, a lot more excitement for me. If I know what's going to happen, it's not as fun. I always enjoy the show, but if I know exactly the outcome, sometimes it's not as exciting. So I'm really looking forward to this episode in that I don't know what to look forward to. I'm sure this is probably going to maybe be one of my fan favorites, or that's the hope. Who knows? I'll come back here and be like, I hated the episode. That never happens. So yeah, I'm really excited for this episode, and I hope you are too. So I'm going to go watch the episode right now, and then I'll be back here and we can talk about what I think about it. I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about. See you guys in just a bit. Okay, so my instant gut reaction for this episode is that Peridot is just so cute. I know it's been sort of a common fan theory to sort of like show Peridot with her limbs extended, or her extended limbs as we learn in this episode, and sort of visualizing if like they were to be cut off, how small she would be. And so actually seeing her be that tiny once her extender limbs were removed after after Garnet crushed her was kind of the most adorable thing ever. Seeing her like all grumpy and just curled up like that, also so great. I mean, maybe it's because I do that a lot too, like that motion with my legs, that I really liked it. But I don't know. It's weird. Like, Peridot is a character that's, for me, taken a little bit of time to sort of get to enjoy and get to like. I know a lot of fans have really gravitated to her quickly, but for me, it's sort of been like a gradual process of me being like, oh, okay, I'm on board. And after this episode, I'm super on board with Peridot being a part of the show in a larger sense. Because so far she's sort of been background and sort of villain foil to the gems, and she's still sort of serving that purpose even though she's hiding in the bathroom. But it seems like now that she's actually in a much more permanent position within the Crystal Gems home base, Steven's space as well, it seems like she's going to be a lot more incorporated into episodes as it goes on. The fact that she has information over the gems on the cluster, so it does seem like it's possible that Homeworld has made a enormous cluster, like huge, like way too many things, just absolutely violent terror, nasty, gross, vile thing, awful adjectives. But yeah, this is one of those episodes where I feel like it could have been so much longer. When it ended, I was like, no, no, stay with me. And there's not a lot of episodes that I feel that way about. Because usually I feel like over the 10 minutes, Steven Universe really does a great job of sustaining, but also not like making this impact that's like it has to stay for too long. They use the 10 minutes to the maximum. Like it's perfectly encapsulated, if that makes sense. Like obviously I want to see more of the characters and I want to see more of the ongoing macro plot of the series, but I never, within episode to episode, have a very strong feeling of I want to have more of what's currently being explored within this episode. And maybe that feeling comes with they still have a lot of loose ends with Peridot. Other episodes can be a bit more compact and tightly wrapped with still sort of a few frays, but this one feels like there's a big string being pulled right now, and it's sort of one that we're going to have to keep following. And that's exciting to me, because I'm not entirely sure where everything's going. I do have loose ideas and my own theories and things like that now. But from that, like, there's still a lot of possibilities and a lot of potential. I liked Steven standing up for Peridot. I liked sort of the humor between the two of them. It's still, if anything, reaffirming my idea that Peridot is a very young gem. There's no way she's older than Amethyst. Like, no way. There does seem to be an inherent maturity that comes with gems with age, and Peridot seems to be a character who's quite juvenile in her attitude towards the world and things like that. And maybe it comes from her being from Homeworld and them sort of having an entirely different societal perspective pushed upon gems from the day that they're created until, you know, they are doing actual big jobs in the world. But, you know, I think that'll sort of come out slowly and surely as we learn a lot more about Homeworld. But I did like how the crystal gems weren't critical of Steven's decision. Like, obviously they didn't like it, but they weren't mean. They were trusting of Steven's judgment, that Peridot is worth talking to in this moment. She has information that we need from her. Hurting her is not going to help our situation at all. And so that was really great. I'm really glad that the gems are deferring to Steven in moments like these and starting to really fully incorporate him into the team and value his input. Because I think that's been a really a big growth for the team as well. Because really early on in the first season, he was like sad sidekick, but now I feel like he's getting very close to becoming a full-fledged member, if not already there. So yeah, this was a incredibly exciting episode. I was laughing out loud for quite a few of the jokes. I know just like seeing Steven's like world's best Steven mug was a great like visual gag since it was a different spelling of Steven. But yeah, there was some really strong jokes in this episode, both visual and just really snappy dialogue. And that's overall, I think the series is strong with that, but some episodes are much more impactful on both visual and verbal like jokes and things like that than others. And this one I think was strong in both areas, which is great for Hilary and Lauren. I really should go back and sort of like refresh my memory on the episodes that they've boarded for, because I really think this one is a real standout for me, and I can see why they were so proud of their work going into this episode. But yeah, it was a really, really exciting episode for me. I feel like there's so much potential for where the series can go from here. There's a lot of branching off points, lots of loose ends, like I said, we're going to have to pull on, and I'm excited to see where we're going to go with this. Lots of possibilities, lots and lots of room for speculation and theories, which is some of my favorite stuff to do. So I'm really looking forward to next week to see what's coming. Once again, off the top of my head, I can't remember what that episode is, but surely I'll know by next week. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!